Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
We could
sir.
see.
So today's topic is qualitative and quantitative research. The aim of our presentation is to understand qualitative and quantitative research design through F spider. This is easy to remember. Female spider, the framework we are designed for summarizing the qualitative and quantitative research. This is the aim of this presentation. To begin with, what is research? There are so many definitions of research in different textbooks. Uh, I'm not going to the definitions as such. Just I would say that research need not be earth-shaking. Means we have something in our mind when we say research. What is research? If you define the research in a simple way, research is a new derivation of knowledge already established. We know so many things. Past was there yesterday, today, tomorrow. What we know already, what we want to know tomorrow, we want to derive the new knowledge in any discipline. So, how to test the research? PhD is one thing, MPhil is one thing. Getting a degree, submitting a thesis, and getting PhD degree is one thing. Apart from getting a PhD degree, research measurement can be done through publication of original research in reputable journals. There are many reputable journals, Scopus Index, and citations in the leading research journals. Suppose you have done some research means you must publish in a original research work in the reputable journals, or you may go for presentation of your research findings in seminars where you can meet so many professors, researchers, and share your new knowledge. This is what we summarize as a research, a new derivation of the knowledge in any discipline. We broadly classify the research into two categories. First one is qualitative research, another one is quantitative research. Qualitative research investigates the qualitative variables. For example, a study investigates who owns a smart mobile phone, whether male or female, rural people or urban people, low income, middle income or high income group, young people or old people. Suppose if you ask this simple question, mobile phone is owned by everyone, but we have mobile phones with different specifications, and the cost of the mobile phone is also varies from few thousand to several thousands. If you want to study the ownership of mobile phone, we take some qualitative variables, whether male or female, whether rural people or urban people, and how they are using it. This involves a study of qualitative factors, or we say attributes. Suppose variables such as male or female, high or middle, or low income groups are qualitative variables which measures the presence or absence of some attributes. Means whether a male owns the smartphone or not, we can investigate by taking so many categorical variables. So we summarize qualitative research involves collection, analysis, and interpretation of qualitative variables. Suppose we take an example. Can you see the MS Excel sheet here? I have written here serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. 10 students are there. Students are Apurva, Balaram, Chaitra, Dinesh, Joe, Karun, Mahadev, Nirmala, Rakesh, Saji. These are the 10 students. I highlight this. And we have dates here 111, 211, 311, 411. What data we have collected here is attendance. We have taken every day attendance, P for present and A for absent. We have collected the attendance on 1st November. Students present were 8, 2nd November 7, 3rd November 10, 4th November 9. Absents are 2301. We have calculated the percentage here, 80%, 70%, 100%, 90%. Suppose this data we have collected, and what is the attendance we have collected? The attendance percentage. Attendance percentage is the total number of present divided by total number of absents. So this data, what we have collected regarding a phenomenon, it may be a mobile phone or it may be attendance of the student. Suppose what I do here, I I put the gender here, gender. Apurva, female. Balram, male. Chaitra, female. Dinesh, male. Zo, male. Karun, male. Mahadev, male. Nirmala, female. Rakesh, male. Saji, female. I have added one more variable here. Students are categorized into male, female, etc. I may categorize this again into reason. I may categorize reason. Reason means from where they have come from, whether they are coming from the rural areas or they are coming from the urban areas. Suppose I put R for rural and U for urban. Urban R, okay, R, R, U, U, R, U, R, U. Like this, I have a data about the students that attendance attended in a classroom 10 students, and I can get the variables. These are the attributes, gender, reason. I can also add income group like this. I can take any variables. So I'll come back here. So qualitative research. Variables such as male, female, high or middle income group are qualitative variables which measures presence or absence of some attributes. Okay. Quantitative research investigates numerical or quantitative variables. For example, a study investigates the cost of the mobile phone, currency consumed, talk time. The cost is measured in numerical values such as 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees. Currency is measured in numerical value rupees, 100 rupees or 1,000 rupees. This is a quantitative research. Means once we studied about the who owns the mobile phone, male or female, rural or urban. Against these variables, we have also collected the data regarding the cost of the mobile phone and the currency of the amount. Some of the quantitative research data, GDP data of the government, union budget data, inflation data, KSRC fare between two destinations, KPTCL electricity consumption bill, telephone bill. We get a lot of variables, data regarding these things. They are quantitative variables we see every day. To understand the research, qualitative and quantitative research, first of all, we understand the data. What do you mean by data? Data, both qualitative and quantitative research involves collection of data. What type of data is suitable? How to measure them? How to classify the data? For example, data can be classified into two categories. One is categorical data, another one is numerical data. What is categorical data? What is numerical data? Categorical data are also called qualitative data. Some attributes, qualitative variables. We group them into some groups. Just now we have seen the example of Excel sheet here. Uh, Students' names are there here. We have grouped the students into two categories of gender, male and female. We have classified them to region, rural and urban. We can create so many categories like this here. These are the qualitative variables. Attendance of the students is a quantitative variable. So even though I have presented is the P is 1, P is for present, I can change this variable as 1. 1 means present and 0 as absent. I can do that also. So this is the example we have seen in the Excel sheet. And categorical data, we classify the students into gender as two categories, male or female. A student belongs to either male or female. He cannot be in both, only one. Region has two categories, rural and urban. A student belongs to either rural or urban group. Income has three categories, high, middle, medium or low. A student belongs to either high income group or middle income groups or low income groups. And you may have the board also. Board means whether a student has completed his in the state board or CBSE or ICSE. Numerical data are also called quantitative data, quantitative variable. So they have measured in terms of numerical values, means mass scored by the students, income of the salary income of the people, employees in an organization. They are measured in numerical values. Marks scored by students in 10th standard and 12th standard are quantitative and numerical data. They are measured for maximum of 100 marks. Suppose weight or the height of the students, they can also measured in terms of numerical values. These are the category of numerical data. Now, we define the numerical data into two categories. One is discrete data, another one is continuous data. What is discrete data? Discrete data means whole numbers. For example, mass scored by students. It may be 0 to 100. 0 is the minimum mass, 100 is the maximum mass. 10 mass 10, 15, 20 like this. 0 to 100, discrete variables. It won't take any fractions. For example, 10.5 mass, 10.1 mass. We record the mass scored by students in discrete variables. Whereas continuous data, whole numbers with fractions such as 45.5 kg, 59.9 kg like this, they are expressed in decimal points. Discrete and continuous data, these are the two types of numerical data. We have another types of data, time series data and cross-sectional data. What is time series data? Data recorded over a time is time series data. What is data recorded over time? For example, we have seen the attendance of the students. 1st November, 2nd November, 3rd November, every day we are collecting the data of attendance. This is a time series data. What is a cross-sectional data? Cross-sectional data means suppose on the same day, one day you take in a given point of time and you collect the data relating to so many variables. This is a cross-sectional data. Data observed at the same time or at a point of time is cross-sectional data. For example, on 1st November 2020, out of 20 students, 8 were present, 2 were absent. You may ask a question, why 2 students were absent? Are they from the rural areas? Whether they belong to girls, male or female category? Was there any transportation problem? Why the students were absent? Like this, you can ask questions. This is called cross-sectional data. Cross-sectional data is collected for a given point of time. Whereas time series data means you are collecting the data for a given period of time. It may be for 1 month, 1 week like this. Suppose we collect the data of the student, attendance data of the students for 1 semester. In a given semester, students need to attend at least 75% of the classes conducted. So this is a time series data in a given period of 1 semester of 4 months. Cross-sectional data means if you take a single day in a given day and how many students are present or absent, and you can investigate this, this is a cross-sectional data. Now we come to when we want to collect the data for our qualitative and quantitative research, there is an important steps in collection of data, which is called scale of measurement. Data collection requires one of the following scale of measurement. Normally, we take the scale wherein centimeters and inches are there. We measure the width of a table, or you take kgs to measure the weight of a thing. But a researcher needs to collect the data using one of the 4 scales. First one is nominal scale or categorical scale. Second one is ordinal scale or ranking scale. Third one is interval scale. Fourth one is ratio scale. Each of these scales are different and they are used for collection of data, analysis and interpretation of data. That is the research process. First two categories, nominal scale and ordinal scale, are used for qualitative research. Interval scale and ratio scale are used for quantitative research, numerical research. So social sciences, behavioral sciences are interested in collection of data using nominal and ordinal scale. In sciences, for example, they collect the data using interval scale and ratio scale. Even a behavioral scientist can use the interval scale and ratio scale. He has to design the questionnaire to collect the data using one of these four scales. First, let us take the nominal or categorical scale. This is the important scale for qualitative research. A measurement at its weakest level, I say it is not strong, it is very weak, exists when numbers or other symbols are used to simply classify an object, person, or characteristic. Means, gender, for example, the respondents are classified into male. We use the symbol M for male, F for female. Region, rural and urban. Income, high, low, or medium. We classify the respondents into several categories using some symbols. This is the base for nominal scale. When numbers or other symbols are used to identify the groups to which various objects belong, these numbers or symbols constitute a nominal or categorical scale. For example, if you look at this data here, student's name, gender, male, female, male, female. This is gender is a categorical scale, reason is a categorical scale. Suppose you take the mass scored by students, gender, categorical scale, reason, categorical scale, income, categorical scale. Here three groups are there, here two groups. Marks in 10th standard, for example, this is a numerical value. This is again a board. Board means which board they belong. Are they from CBSE? Are they from state board, ICSE? This is also categorical scale. Marks scored by students in 12th standard. This is a numerical value variable. So state this again. This is a board. This is a categorical variable, and weight is there here. So in this Excel sheet, you can see the nominal scales are gender, region, income, board to which student belongs. They are all classified into nominal scale. The nominal scale here, when numbers or other symbols are used to identify the groups to which various objects belong, these numbers or symbols constitute a nominal or categorical scale. The numbers on a automobile license plate. I have taken the example of you get a license from the registry RTO office, constitute a nominal scale. Suppose a color of the vehicle. White board means personal use, yellow board means public use, taxis, for example. Suppose on a state, KM is Karnataka, TN means Tamil Nadu, KL means Kerala, AP means Andhra Pradesh. So our registration number of a vehicle starts with the state KA, district 0123. So K09 means it is Mysore. Karnataka state, Mysore district is K09. Suppose vehicle, MA, alphabetical starts with A to Z. Later on A, B, like this. MA 2052. 2052 MA. This is the vehicle registration number. Suppose we see in the vehicle, all over India, same categorical name is given here. K09 MA 2052 means vehicle registered in Karnataka state. 09 means Mysore district, and the vehicle number is MA 2052. They can identify. Means we have throughout India a categorical registration for all vehicles. This is one example of our categorical, how we use the categorical scale to collect the data. The assignment of numbers must be such that the same code number is given to all automobiles registered in the same state. For example, KF for Karnataka, TN for Tamil Nadu, and district 0123 like this. Different numbers are assigned to automobiles registered in different states and districts. The number code 1, the license plate must clearly indicate to which state the mutually exclusive subclasses means. You don't have any confusion. Suppose easily identify West Bengal, or it may be Orissa, or it may be Delhi. Means throughout India, you can identify to which state, to which district this vehicle belongs to. This is a classification of vehicle registration number on the basis of nominal scale. Some other examples of nominal scales are Aadhaar number, for example, we get Aadhaar number, very unique number throughout India. For all citizens of India, we are getting Aadhaar number. GSTN number. GST is introduced in India from 2017. We have a GSTN number, PAN number, passport number, numbers assigned to cricket teams and players. Suppose you take Indian cricket team, blue color, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is there. Like this, different teams have different color and also different numbers for the players. These are all classified on the basis of nominal scale. The basis for nominal scale is grouping and classifying a respondent or an object into the specific group. In a nominal scale, what are the features of this nominal scale? The scaling operations partition a given class into a set of mutually exclusive subclasses. The only relation involved is that of equivalence, that is, the members of any one subclass must be equivalent to the property being scaled. Suppose we use the symbol equals. This relation is symbolized by the familiar equal. So here we have some expression, mathematical expression. The equivalence relation is reflexive, symmetrical, and transitive. Reflexive means x is equal to x for all values of x. Symmetrical means if x is equal to y, then y is equal to x. Transitive means if x is equal to y and y is equal to z. These are also mathematical features of the nominal scale. What you understand is that in a nominal scale, if you classify one as a male means another member in that male category is same, means they have the same features of male and female, rural or urban. So equal. If it is not equal, you cannot group them into a specific group. This is the feature of a nominal scale. Since the symbols which designate the various groups on a nominal scale may be interchanged without altering the essential information, there are different measures of general tendency for analysis. The most useful measure for nominal scale is mode. You know the mode. Mode is the most frequently occurring value. And frequency counts. Higher income group, lower income group, how many members belong to that group. We use the mode and frequency counts for statistical analysis of nominal scale. We can test hypotheses regarding the distribution of cases among categories by using non-parametric tests such as chi-square test or binomial distribution, binomial test. Binomial test means categorizing into two, male and female, for example. This is a binary. One is male, another one is female. You can use the binomial test for testing the hypothesis. These tests are appropriately nominally because they focus on frequencies or enumerative data, means how many frequencies belong to a specific group, we categorize them. The second scale of measurement is ordinal or ranking scale. It may happen that the objects in one category of a scale are not only different from the other objects in other category of scale, we establish some relation to them. What is the relationship you see? So for example, high, medium and low. Difficult, more difficult and most difficult. Suppose our students write an examination. After the examination, you ask a question. How was the exam? Students say that easy, very easy, or they may say difficult, more difficult, most difficult. When you classify the difficult level of a question paper into difficult, more difficult, most difficult, there is an order here. Most difficult is higher order than more difficult. More difficult is higher order than difficult. Means there is an order is there. We use the symbol equals, greater than. More difficult is greater than difficult. Most difficult is greater than more difficult. Suppose if you bring any order, high, medium, low, such a type of scale is called ordinal scale or ranking scale. We use the symbol greater than. Such relations may be designated by means of a symbol greater than, means greater than. The higher order is greater than the lower order. In reference to a particular scale, greater than may be used to designate the is preferred to, is higher than, is more difficult, etc. You can use some words like this to designate the symbol greater than. Its specific meaning depends on the nature of the relation that defines you. Suppose, how was the examination question paper? It is easy, more easier, most easier, you can say. You can use these words to express a symbol called greater than in the ordinal scale. Socioeconomic status, suppose we do research in qualitative research in socioeconomic, we use the symbol, greater than symbol, to collect the data and to analyze the data. For example, higher income groups are greater than the middle income group. Middle income group is greater than the lower income group. I mean, there's an order is there in the categorization. So this mathematical expression here, the relation is greater than is irreflexive, asymmetrical, and transitive. This is we classify the students' performance into first class, second class, and third class. For example, fail is another category. We usually refer the excellent performance as first class. Now we have distinction also, distinction first class. Progressively, we have inferior performance of students into second class, third class, and the last category would be fail. So this classification of students' performance into first class, second class, third class, and fail is an ordinal scale or a ranking scale where there is a rank order is there, and we use the symbol greater than. So, which is the most statistical measure we can use it for ordinal scale? Most important measure is median. Median is not affected by changes in any scores which are above or below it, as long as the numbers of scores are above or remain same. Means median is the value which divides the series into two parts, 50% below it and 50% above it. Suppose you take high income group, low income group, and middle income group, you can use the median. Median is also called 50th percentile. Okay. Q1, quartile 1 is a 25th percentile, Q3 is the 75th percentile. You know, in the CAT examinations and NEET examinations, student scores 100 out of 100. Means what is the percentile of score is 100 percentile score. Means 100 out of 100 they score it. Okay. So we use the median as a measure for ordinal scale, most recommended. It is not the arithmetic mean because the ordinal data, we collect the data on the basis of rank order. When a scale has all characteristics of nominal scale and ordinal scale, but the difference is there between the two, suppose high income, middle income, and low income. This is a ordinal scale. Okay. When the distances or differences between any two numbers on the scale have meaning, then such a measurement is called interval scale. Suppose if you say high income and low income and medium income, there's a difference, but the difference doesn't give you any meaning. What is high? What is low? What is medium? What is the income level you have taken? So what the interval scale do? Interval scale makes an improvement in the nominal scale and ordinal scale. The distances between the two variables, we use a meaning for that. An interval scale has a common and constant unit of measurement which assigns a number to all pairs of objects in the order set. Suppose in an interval scale, 0 point and the unit of measurements are arbitrary. So this way we understand it. We measure the temperature on an interval scale. You are all sitting in the room, inside the room. Outside. What is outside temperature and inside temperature? And definitely you are sitting under the fan, or you are putting AC inside the room. Inside temperature definitely varies with the outside temperature. How do you measure the temperature? We use two different parameters here. One is Celsius and Fahrenheit. The unit of measurement and the 0 point in measuring the temperature are arbitrary. They are different for these two mesh scales. Suppose, for instance, freezing occurs at 0 degree on the Celsius scale and boiling occurs at 100 degree Celsius. 100 degree Celsius. This is in the Celsius scale. If you go to Fahrenheit scale, freezing occurs at 32 degree and boiling at 212 degree. These variables are different, but boiling and freezing are same using two different scales. This is the scale of measurement. Celsius minus 18 degree means Fahrenheit 0 degree. 0 degree in Celsius is equal to 32 degree in Fahrenheit, 10, 15, 30, 86, 100 and 212. These are the two scales, just like a pound and kg, like this. Notice that the ratio of the differences between temperature readings on one scale is equal to the ratio between equivalent difference. Suppose the ratio between 0 and 10, 10 and 30, 30 and 100. This ratio, if you calculate for Celsius and Fahrenheit, suppose I have shown here, on the Celsius scale, the ratio difference between 30 and 10 and 0 is 30 minus 10 divided by 10 minus 0, which is equal to 2. For the comparable reading on the Fahrenheit scale is 86 minus 50, 50 minus 30 is equal to 2. Ratio is same. You see, look at this one. 56 minus 80, 50 minus 32. You take the ratio, 10 minus 0, 30 minus 10, like this. If you take, ratio is same. Means both scales, the exact the ratio between the two, differences between the two scales are same. I give another example. This is very easy to understand than that. Consider an AC room where temperature is set at 20 degrees Celsius and the temperature outside the room is 40 degrees Celsius. It is correct to say that the difference in the temperature is 20 degree. Outside temperature is 40 degree, inside is 20, the difference is 20. But it is incorrect to say that temperature in outdoor is twice that of a temperature in indoor. You cannot say inside temperature is 20, outside is 40. It is twice of that outside temperature. You cannot say like that. Means or interval scale measures the difference in the two scales here, the ratio, it measures the ratio, and you cannot conclude that there is a difference in the temperature inside the room and outside the room, which is equal to 20 degree, but you cannot say that outside temperature is twice of the inside room. Okay. Many behavioral scientists aspire to create interval scale, and on frequent occasions they develop the interval scale for measurement of data for qualitative research. This interval scale is the first truly quantitative scale. I said nominal scale and ordinal scales are categorical scales used for qualitative research. Interval scale and ratio scales are used for quantitative research. So, when the interval scale uses the data, collect the data, we can use the mean, standard deviation, correlation, regression for statistical analysis because you are collecting numerical values using the interval scale. What is ratio scale? This is the highest order of measurement in the research. When a scale has all the characteristics of an interval scale, in addition, it has a true zero point as a horizon is called a ratio scale. In a ratio scale, the ratio of any two scale points is independent of the unit of measurement. So you can collect the data using the ratio scale. Suppose I use the data here. We measure weight in a ratio scale. The scale of kilogram and grams has a true zero point. I give the example here. I can show you the Excel sheet here. Suppose you see your Excel sheet, weight of the students have, I take the weight of the students here. Weight of the student, uh, one minute. Weight of the student 45.5 kg, 50 kg, 48 kg, 60 kg. This has got a zero unit, means we start with zero and we measure the weight of the students. Okay, marks, for example, we have a zero marks also, zero. This is a ratio scale. This is a ratio scale. This is a ratio scale because it has got a true zero point, and we measure collect the data using some scale. This is a marks 100 for 100, 600. All the subjects put together for 600. What is how many marks their students have scored? This is the weight of the students in kgs, or you may take the height. Suppose if you take the male and female, this is not a ratio scale. This is a categorical scale, nominal scale. This is a nominal scale, high, low, medium, nominal scale. This is also a nominal scale. This is a ratio scale, for example. This is a nominal scale. Okay. So when we collect the data, we have to decide which scale I am using to collect the data. That is the base for using statistical test. Do you use the median or mode or correlation or regression? What type of test you can use it for hypothesis? Depends on the scale we are using it. For example, here we determine the weights of two different objects not only in pounds but also in grams. we should find that the ratio of the two weights in pounds is identical to the ratio of the two weights in grams. You can use the centimeter or feet, pounds or kgs. Grades of students are measured in ordinal scale. Consider two students, for example, one of whom receives A grade and the other of whom receives C grade. Suppose the numerical assignments we give for 4 and 2 respectively, the ratio of the two grades is 4 is to 2, which is equal to 2 is to 1, which is equal to 2. Means, yeah, you cannot say that here. It may be not, suppose a student with a 2 grade, student with a 4 grade, can you say that a student with a 2 grade is twice that of a student with a 4 grade? It may not take sense to say that the student with a grade times knowledge ability of C grade. Means, if you multiply that. The numbers associated with the ratio scale values are true numbers with a 0. I think we have seen just now the weights and the mass scored by the students. Now I come to I would summarize now what we have done is, we have done what we have seen here from the beginning. I summarize. We begin with the type of research, qualitative and quantitative research. What is qualitative research? Uses the qualitative variables, quantitative variables, numerical data it uses, and the data, categorical data, numerical data, and we have defined what is numerical and categorical data. Discrete data and continuous data, this comes under the numerical data, and time series data and cross-sectional data. And we go for measurement of scale, use the scale for collection of data. 4 scales we have understood. So after this means, we know the different types of scale and the different types of data. How to test the hypothesis means, either in qualitative research or quantitative research, we have to go for testing of hypothesis. I would suggest a very simple framework for testing of hypothesis is F spider. Female spider is known to be very dangerous, possibly deadly, if it is not dealt clearly. Therefore, a researcher must handle the research work very carefully. So we list the spider into different steps of research. F means formulate the research problem. S means state the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. P means plan the research methodology. I means insist of using secondary data first. D means design data collection methods. This is for primary data. E means after collection of your data, edit, tabulate, analyze the data. R means record the findings and recommendations. Suppose this is a very simple format for qualitative and quantitative research. F spider, you start with formulating the research problem. Once the research problem is formulated, you state the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis, and you decide what type of research methodology you can use it for testing the hypothesis, solving the research problem. And you, before collection of primary data, you ask a question, can you use the secondary data? If you solve the problem using secondary data, you need not collect the primary data. If the secondary data is insufficient, you go for collection of primary data. For that, you have to design the questionnaire and also interview schedules. Later on, once you collect primary data and secondary data, you have to edit it, tabulate it, and analyze it. It means you collect the data and use the statistical test. You get some findings, and what are your findings and recommendations you submit to the after finishing our research work. What we do now, we discuss these steps here. Formulate the research problem. Formulate the most appropriate research problem. For example, COVID. We are living in COVID. Impact of COVID-19 on health, income, business, economy, social relationship, etc. could be a research problem. We are not going out. We are staying home. Our income has come down because of COVID. Our health has deteriorated. Our business opportunities have come down. Economy is a problem, trouble. COVID is a very important research area. You can take the COVID for addressing any research issues. It may be health, education, income, social, political, etc. For example, quality of medical care. I want to study about this. Quality of medical care can be a qualitative research and quantitative research. So qualitative medical care has been defined in many ways. Each way serves some special types of problems. Suppose what is a quality of medical care? Comfort of patients under the medical care. Suppose you go to your doctor, doctor gives you some medicine. After taking the medicine, I think your disease level should come down and you must feel comfort. Okay, how do you measure the comfort? Comfort is a qualitative measure. You can use the categorical scale or ranking scale to measure the comfort level of the student patients. Are you comfort of taking the medicines in a specific doctor, in a specific hospital? You can conduct a study. Proportion of people under medical care, for example, male and female, by age in each group. So, what is the age of a patient? That can be a numerical data. Number of patients under medical care, if large, might indicate good medical care but serving many people. Suppose COVID, every day we are getting data collected by the government, how many COVID cases, positive cases and negative cases. Positive patients, patients with positive and negative. This is a numerical data we are collecting it. And it is what is the age group? And in different regions also, in which state we are getting. We are getting huge data every day, we are collecting it. So higher number of positive cases doesn't mean that the quality of the medical care is good. Okay, higher, large number doesn't indicate that the quality of the medical care is good. It is an opposite measure. So collection of the COVID data from different states, from central government is not to show that the quantity is increasing, but we have to see how many positive cases every day are declining and how many positive cases are cured. They become negative cases, how frequently. So this is a COVID medical problem can be studied using qualitative variables as well as quantitative variables. This can be an important area of study research. For example, one physician measured the quality of medical care in terms of physical equipments available for medical test. Some hospitals they boast of some sophisticated equipments. Okay, suppose if you have equipment, doesn't guarantee that the quality of medical care is good. Another one measured the quality of medical care in terms of education level of the physicians and nurses. If the physicians have more degrees, it doesn't mean that the quality is good. Means quality of medical care can be measured in qualitative variables and quantitative variables. Which variable you are using to measure the quality of medical care? I take another example here. I am discussing the first problem, formulating the research problem. So every day we ask a question, what is the quality of teaching in higher education institutions and primary education? So we are teachers. We ask a question, how do you define the quality of teaching? We ask a question, who is a good teacher? The first requisite for a good teacher is that he has something to teach to the students. A teacher has something to teach. What is something? Something means something is teaching in the classroom or outside the classroom which is beneficial to the students. So, the aim of the teacher should be to give inspiration and direction to the students for further study. Means a student who learns from a teacher, he should get inspiration and he study on his own, further study. Okay. Who is a good teacher? A teacher must possess knowledge of the subject. Suppose you are teaching science subject, commerce subject, or language subject. You should have the knowledge about the subject. What is how to measure the knowledge of the teacher? The only operational definition of knowledge requisite for teaching is research. Means a teacher is one who is engaged in continuous research in his area. Great teachers, who are the great teachers? For example, Radhakrishnan was teaching in Maharaja College in Mysore University. Okay, he went to Banaras University later on. He's a great teacher. Why? Means a great teachers are leaders of thought. The students of the great teachers have chance to observe what these great men are thinking about and how they build roads to new knowledge. Suppose that in a classroom, I believe that classroom is a think room. When a teacher enters the classroom, students will give you the respect. Why they are giving the respect? They are giving the respect because you are a knowledgeable person. You have come to the classroom to deliver the knowledge. Therefore, students in a classroom have the chance to observe the teacher because you are thinking at a higher level. How you are thinking about the subject means they get inspiration from you, and they gain knowledge from you, and they develop further knowledge on their own. So this is some of the quality of teaching or quality of medical care. Like this, you can take any problem for formulating the research problem. You can identify a research problem. Once you identify the research problem, the second step in qualitative and quantitative research is state the null and alternate hypothesis. You formulated the problem. The next step is hypothesis you should formulate. What is the hypothesis? There are two hypotheses. One is null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. The null hypothesis is an hypothesis of no effect, negation of the alternate hypothesis. It is usually formulated for the express purpose of being rejected, that is, if it is negation of the point one is trying to make. If the null hypothesis is rejected, you can accept the alternate hypothesis. Okay. What is alternate hypothesis is? It is an operational statement of the research hypothesis. Suppose I formulate some hypothesis here. A cow eat grass. This is a hypothesis I formulated. A cow doesn't eat grass. This is a null hypothesis. Suppose, can I say that a cow doesn't eat grass? No. A cow eats plastic. Suppose I make a hypothesis. A cow doesn't eat plastic. Four hypotheses I formulated. One is one category is null hypothesis, another category is research hypothesis or alternate hypothesis. It is universally true that a cow eats grass is true, but there are cows now in the market, they are eating plastic. You want to study why and how some cows are eating plastics in the market. You take a sample of cows, study this, and you prove that some cows eat plastics. Suppose I say here all BCom students get jobs. No BCom graduate gets job. Some BCom graduate get jobs. Means after finishing your graduation, how many of them get a placement? Can you say all? Can you say no? Or can you say some? I may make a proposition. All people are honest. No one is honest. Some people are honest. First one, it is very easy to reject. All people are honest. I cannot say. No one is honest. I cannot say. Certainly, I can say that some people are honest. Means, when you formulate the hypothesis for a research problem, you can formulate one null hypothesis, another one is alternate hypothesis. Once you formulate the hypothesis, the next step is test the hypothesis. Why you are testing the hypothesis? You need some evidence, objective evidence to prove or disprove your hypothesis. That is the data you are collecting it. The data may be qualitative data or quantitative data using the categorical, nominal, and numerical scales we have discussed just now. The field of statistics has developed over a period of time. Suppose if you look into the statistical test book, there are so many statistical tests are available. You are aware of the SPSS software. If you feed the data to SPSS software, you get result. You want mean, median, mode, or test t-test, or z-test, or correlation, or regression. So many results you can get it. Now, what is the basis for using a specific test? Which test you are using it? Here, you can choose a most appropriate statistical test for your study. You just think about it. Which test you are going to use? Which central tendency you are using it? I said, when the mode is suitable, when the median is suitable, when the mean is suitable, whether your data is numerical, whether your data is categorical. Often we see our scholars are using some of the statistical tests for categorical scale instead of they must use it for interval or ratio scale. Statistical tests to find difference in the mean of one sample, two samples, more than two samples. There's a difference of mean scored by girl students and boy students. So what you do, if you want to measure the difference in two groups, you can use the girl students score more marks than boy students, or boy students score more marks than girl students. You can use the value to test the difference in the mean value, mean marks scored by the students, you can use the t-test or z-test. T-test means difference between one sample, two samples, or more than two samples. Suppose you want to test one sample test, you use the test value and measure and test it. If you want to measure the marks scored by girl students are better than boy students, two sample test, use the t-test if the sample is less than 30, or z-test if it is more than 30. Suppose if you have 3 4 groups, for example, higher income group students, middle income group students, and low income group students, you cannot use the two sample test. You can go for ANOVA to find the difference between more than two groups. So here, the researcher, if you want to test the sample value, you have to say the significance level. We have got significance level and confidence level. Research may decide to work at the 0.05 level. What is 0.05 level? Suppose 100%, one is 100%, confidence level is 100%, zero is no confidence. Our confidence level vary from 0 to 100. Okay. A researcher at what level of confidence is bringing the results, it may be 0.05, 0.01, 0.05, 0.01 level. So, lower the value of significance level, better is the research result. 0.01, 0.005, 0.001 level. You can use any value here. Most appropriately, most often the researcher use 0.05 and zero point 0.01 significance level. When you specify the significance level, you can reject the null hypothesis in favor of alternate hypothesis. If a statistical test yields a value, we call it as a p-value. P-value means probability value of occurrence under H0 is equal to or less than some small probability which is denoted by alpha. Alpha is 0.05 level or 0.01 level. This is called level of significance. Common values are 0.01 and 0.05. So you have to specify the significance level in advance, then for testing of the hypothesis. What is the most appropriate sampling distribution? We have normal distribution, binomial distribution, chi-square distribution. Distribution means when you collect the data, you plot it in the diagram, you get a shape of the distribution. What shape you are getting it? Suppose you get a bell-shaped distribution, it's a normal distribution. Okay, t distribution is lower than that. Okay, so sampling distributions which have been already listed in the statistical textbooks, your data fit into some distribution. When a variable is normally distributed, its distribution is completely characterized by its mean and standard deviation. Suppose use the mean and standard deviation to define the normal distribution. Next one is define the region of rejection in the testing of hypothesis. What is the region of rejection? Consists of a set of possible values which are so extreme that when it's 0 is 2, probability is very small. Means we have fixed the alpha value 0.01 or 0.05. Lower the alpha value means the better is the research result. So you define the region of rejection and you calculate the actual t value or the f value or the z value, compare with the table value for rejecting or accepting the null hypothesis. If H1 indicates the predicted direction of the difference, then one-tailed test is used. We have two types of test. One is one-tailed test and two-tailed test. Suppose you take the normal distribution, left-tailed test and right-tailed test. Right-tailed test, as usually you have higher than the mean value. Low-tailed test is there got the lower than the mean value. Which direction you are using? One sample test or say a two sample test you are using. H1 value gives the direction whether it is greater than the mean value or lower than the mean value. Suppose in NEET examination, a student has secured 625 out of 625. That sample person will come on the right hand side. Another student secured 0 marks. It is on the extreme left. The normal distribution starts with 0 marks to 625 marks. Around 13 lakh students are distributed in the normal distribution, scoring different marks. And we say that all the students will not get these medical seats. Only the top means top 1000 students or 2000 students will get the seat in a reputed institutions. There may be 1 lakh seats in the medical seats in our country. 13 lakh students have secured, written the examination. Probably first 1 lakh students will get the seats. We can put this distribution in the normal distribution, and we can predict who we are going to get the seat. So rejection reason means what type of student will not get the seat in the NEET examination. We can understand using the normal distribution. So this is about the collection and the decision you have to make. Once you decide the region of rejection, go for collection, primary data and secondary data, and calculate so many values, mean, standard deviation, t-value, etc. Finally, you make a decision. What is your decision to reject the null hypothesis or accept the research hypothesis? Based on the test result, you can correct it. So now often we come across two types of errors in the qualitative and quantitative research. Which are the errors? Errors are not the mistakes. What we do, our judgment, we make wrong judgments. Type 1 error occurs when we reject the null hypothesis when it is true. Type 2 error occurs when we accept the null hypothesis when it is false. Okay. Suppose you look at this table here. Decision is given on the left side. Null hypothesis rejected. Null hypothesis is true, it is rejected, therefore type 1 error. Null hypothesis rejected, it is false, correct decision. If the null hypothesis is false, you have rejected it, this is a correct decision you are making. If the null hypothesis is true, but you are rejecting, means it's a type 1 error. Type 2 error means null hypothesis is accepted, it is true, correct decision. Null hypothesis accepted, it is false, it is a type 2 error. Often we commit type 1 error and type 2 error regarding acceptance or rejection of the null hypothesis. If the null hypothesis is rejected, null hypothesis is false, you must reject it, you are making correct decision. If you do it opposite way, you are type 1 error you are committing. Null hypothesis is true, you are accepting it, your correct decisions means based on your data collection and statistical test, you must make a correct decision. Which is a correct decision? If the null hypothesis is false, reject it. If the null hypothesis is true, you accept it. This result, you must get it in your research study. Otherwise, you are committing type 1 error and type 2 error. It results in wrong research findings. And we have parametric statistical test and non-parametric statistical test. Usually, parametric statistical tests are used for numerical data, means data collected using interval scale and ratio scale. Non-parametric tests are used for categorical scale and the ratio scale. We have t-test is there. I think all of you are aware of this. T-test is used for small group of less than 30. You are using t-test for sample mean, comparison of sample mean and population mean. It may be for one sample test or two sample test. So the main aim of the t-test is to find is there a difference. No difference or difference is there, you can use it. So here, how you do the t-test, compare the sample with population mean, comparison of mass of two samples, or comparison of sample proportion with the population proportion, or you make compare the two sample proportion. We have jet test. Jet test is used for when the sample size is greater than 30, use the jet test. You have analysis of variance. You have more than two samples. You want to know the difference between the variance between the two or more samples. So calculate the ANOVA, which gives the F ratio. F ratio is the mean square between samples, mean square within the samples. Means what is the difference within the sample, what is the difference between the samples. You divide this, you get a ratio, which is called F ratio. ANOVA can be used when you want to compare the sample mean of more than two samples. You can go for correlation regression. This is especially useful for numerical analysis. If you want to establish a relationship between causal relationship between dependent variable and independent variable, you can use the correlation, two variables only. More than two variables, you can go for multiple correlation or multiple regression, you can use it. And apart from this, we have many non-parametric statistical tests. Chi-square test is there, binomial test is there. Okay, you can use it, so many tests. Now I am completing my presentation. Its time is exactly 11 o'clock. I want to ask some questions from you. So what I have done now, I made a presentation for about 1 hour. regarding qualitative and quantitative research. I request you to ask me the questions, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. I have the query regarding null hypothesis.
Yes.
So this is the abstract thing.
Oh,
So how can we implement our education system?
education system. Yeah, what is your research problem? You tell me. Then I say the hypothesis. Hypothesis is proposed for your research problem. What is the problem you have?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
In my research, there is the computational related.
Okay.
Computational.
Oh.
So after we are doing the program or getting the result,
Hmm.
so how can we check with null hypothesis?
No, no, no. I said research hypothesis should be formulated once you decide about your research problem. What is your research problem? Hypothesis means a tentative solution for your research problem. You have a problem. Okay, you have a research problem. COVID is a research problem. I say COVID has resulted in so many problems. Okay, students are not coming to colleges because of COVID problem. I make a proposition. Proposition is that if the student physically come to college, they may end up with COVID. Therefore, we are not permitting them to come to colleges. Understand? UGC has given a new circular today. What is the hypothesis? I propose that if the students come to classes, colleges, and sit together in a classroom with 100 or 100 students, they may get COVID problem. Therefore, we are not permitting them. Right? How to test this one? You collect the data and test it. Yes. Next question.
Yes.
Next.
Sir, first the null hypothesis should be tested and then I will go to collect the primary data.
No, first F spider you say format the research problem. Second step is state the null hypothesis. Then what is the research appropriate research design you decided? Means before collection of data you must state the null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis.
Okay.
What we are doing, we collect the data, then you formulate the hypothesis. It is not like that. Try to
Yes.
understand your research problem. Try to propose a tentative solution for that. That's a research hypothesis. Then you go for data collection. We are not doing
Okay.
like that. What we are doing, we collect the data, we use the SPSS, we do the test, then we say this hypothesis is rejected, that hypothesis is accepted. That's wrong.
Okay.
You must know the reason why this hypothesis is rejected because you formulated hypothesis formulated by you for the problem. But students are not doing like that. They may formulate thousands of hypotheses using SPSS software. They don't know why they are formatting the hypothesis and rejecting it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sir,
Yes.
yes, Vinayak sir. Sir, how to avoid bias in research techniques?
Bias means objectivity. Objectivity means suppose you researcher is an independent, unbiased. Unbiased and independent. Suppose COVID, every state the COVID cases are reporting to the central government by say. Suppose people are avoiding the reporting the cases, you are biased. Suppose you have fear that number of cases have been increasing in India. So if the instruction is informally given to health department that don't disclose the information, suppose a patient will go to the health clinic, he has a fever and you may advise him to test for COVID positive or negative. Simply you may say, oh, do go home and you take rest, you will be cured. Means a bias comes to me because if I disclose the information of positive cases, then something wrong will occur to me. Then what I will do, I will try to avoid, suppress the data. When I suppress the data, it affects my performance, or I may do something else. So in COVID cases, really, if you see whether 100% COVID cases are reported in India, so why China? China has not disclosed all the cases. Even today, we don't know how many cases are there in China.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. If you have any questions, thank you very much for listening to my lecture. Thank you. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue. Next.
Dear participants, all the participants are requested to join the link again at 11:40. Okay, thank you.
Just because we geography ಈಗ 2 months ಆಯ್ತು ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಸೋಕೆ ಹೋಗೋದು ನೇರ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಮಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಕಾಮ್ ಹೌದು ಯಾರು ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅವರೇ ಓಕೆ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಕೊಡು ಸರ್ ನನ್ನ ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ಸರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ಪಿಂಡರ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಸರ್ ಟೋಟಲಿ 11 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಷಣ